If you are of a certain age, this picture might trigger some latent memories standing in the checkout line at the grocery store as a kid. You look to your left to check out the row of tabloids, and bam! You see this motherfucker shrieking back at you. This is Batboy. Batboy was a character created by a publication called the Weekly World News. If you were a dumb kid like I was, you didn't realize that this was just a bizarrely photoshopped picture of a kid. Photoshop was still pretty new and not really common knowledge. Back then, we didn't even understand that pictures of models and celebrities in magazines were airbrushed. So yeah, tiny me actually thought there was a bat child running around somewhere in America. Weekly World News was a black and white printed tabloid that featured outlandish stories with varying degrees of truth. The Weekly World News was not one of those sleazy tabloids that covered tawdry celebrity scandals. It was a sleazy tabloid that covered events that seemed to occur in a parallel universe, a fever dream where pop culture mixed with urban legends, conspiracy theories, and hallucinations. The paper featured such headlines as "Gay aliens found in UFO wreck," "Chimp's head put on human body," and "Face of Satan seen over US Capitol." Although its stories were comprised of varying levels of bullshit, WWN had millions of readers at its prime. The paper presented itself as being a legitimate news publication, and interestingly enough, most of the writers were former mainstream journalists. It was electrifying, says Sal Yvonne, who worked at the New York Daily News before jumping to WWN. Every day you'd go into the office and somebody would make you scream with laughter. It was just a hoot, says Joe Berger, who covered Congress for the Oregon Journal before escaping to WWN in 1981. The paper was created in 1979 by a man named Generoso Pope. Generoso Pope. At the time, he was working for another BS tabloid, the National Enquirer. When they decided to switch from the classic black and white presses to color, it says the Pope in my script. Pope, who was the owner of the paper, wanted to continue using the old presses. Pope was supposedly a former CIA agent with ties to the mafia. He started WWN to run stories about cryptids and aliens, and things that were considered unfit to print in the National Enquirer due to their questionable validity. The man who really solidified the insanity that was the Weekly World News was editor Eddie Clontz. He had an interesting standard for his writers. Don't fact-check your way out of a good story. If we get a story about a guy who thinks he's a vampire, we will take him at his word. If a guy calls and says, Bigfoot ran away with his wife, Yvonne says, we wrote it as straight as an AP story. In the 80s, WWN was 85% true, says Derek Klontz. We simply revved up and played big the wild, odd, and strange stories that mainstream media overlooked or were too persnickety to run. The paper would often blend a real event, or claimed real event, with embellishment and fiction. A real story about a Florida undertaker who was arrested for selling body parts to research scientists became "Florida man screams from the grave, my brain is missing." This is considered WWN's semi-factual period. The stories were played straight, presented as real reporting. In the beginning, the headlines were just believable to not be considered fraud, but silly enough to attract readers. Employees known as clippers would be charged with scouring newspapers for strange and offbeat articles. They would give me a stack of clips, and I'd get on the phone and call people, Berger recalls. If a guy in Omaha got hit by 30,000 volts of lightning and lived to tell the tale, I'd call the poor sucker and get his version of the story and run it. It was all factual. Over time, mostly true stories led to partly true stories, which led to stories that were straight just made up. It wasn't like overnight we decided to start running fiction, Berger says. We just added a few facts to the story and got away with it, and it went from there. The crazier the stories got, the more popular the paper became. Klontz advised writers to write in a way that made the story seem true. Besides the straightforward, presented as truth writing style, WWN would often include quotes from experts. I remember a story about a guy who went on a diet, and he got so hungry that he chased a dwarf down the street with a hatchet because he mistook the dwarf for a chicken. Berger recalls. Oh, that shit would not go over very well today. We would explain to people how it was possible that a guy could get so hungry that he'd mistake a dwarf for a chicken, Berger says. We'd interview a psychiatrist about it and quote him. If we couldn't find one, we'd find one. Reporters frequently included quotes from a baffled scientist. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. There are often real stories mixed in with the fake ones that nonetheless fit the vibe of the paper, like Americans elected a president who'd once co-starred in a movie with a chimpanzee. Scientists invented a magic pill that gave men erections. California cultists committed suicide, believing the Hale-Bopp comet would carry them to heaven. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was elected governor of California. Other verifiable stories include a giant mutant hog monster attacking Georgia, and the arrest of a Tallahassee, Florida man whose pants were actually on fire at the time. Also, the trademark dispute between O, the Oprah magazine, and O, a German erotic periodical. There have been some instances of actual media believing a story ran in Weekly World News. In late 2010, WWN ran a satirical story which indicated the Los Angeles Police Department intended to purchase 10,000 jetpacks at a total cost of $1 billion. This story was reported as fact by Fox and Friends. But no story has endured in our imaginations quite like that of Bat Boy. Bat Boy was created by editor Dick Kulpa, with subsequent stories being written by Bob Lind. Lind was inspired to write the headline, "Bat Child Found in Cave," when he saw an image that artist Dick Kulpa was photoshopping of a baby and an alien. When his coworkers saw the picture, they knew it was destined for something more. When everybody saw it, they said, "Wait a minute. This is more powerful than we thought." It took hours for Kulpa to create the image because Photoshop kept crashing on him. After the 5th time the computer crashed, Kulpa said, "If it crashes one more time, I'm done." Luckily, 6th time was the charm. He was one of the most in-depth characters we dealt with. He could be mean, he could be spiteful, but he could also be kind. So I got this book, Going Mutant, The Bat Boy Exposed. I was expecting it to be kind of just a collection of headlines and stuff like that, but it is a legit book. It's a legit, complete life story of Bat Boy that somebody actually wrote. I think this would have been something that I found really hilarious in like 8th grade. It gives us a lot more insight into Bat Boy's life. Weekly World News reported that a doctor named Ron Dillon had discovered Bat Boy in a hellhole cave in the Allegheny Mountains of West Virginia. His age was determined to be about 10 years old. Dr. Dillon described Bat Boy as being a bat-human hybrid creature. His father... Oh, I get it. That's so stupid. Okay. His father was apparently a bat, but his mother, Susan Boy, which I just got, is his last name, and he's Bat Boy. Bat... But his mother, Susan Boy, a human, we get an account of somebody who went to Dr. Dillon's secret laboratory where he keeps Bat Boy. The creature had a haunting white lantern of a face that looked to be the unholy byproduct of a one-night stand between Nosferatu and Mickey Mouse. Apparently, his bite contains a natural anticoagulant so that when he bites you, you can't stop bleeding. There was a speech therapist who tried to teach Bat Boy how to talk. She lasted only 3 sessions before she ran out of the room, red-faced and vowing never to return. And then there's this part. Many in the office believed that Bat Boy may have exposed himself to her. Others took the position that Dillon had exposed himself to Peak. Okay, I guess this is the picture. The picture's from the assault, to give you a little hint of the level of comedy we're dealing with here. In October of 1992, Bat Boy escaped. Unbeknownst to Dillon, his cage cleaner and part-time custodian Sayer Schming would torture Bat Boy during his nightly cage cleaning ritual. Schming later confessed at trial that he would set his portable stereo near the door and play Cher's greatest hits at the loudest possible volume. As Bat Boy lay collapsed in a cage corner, Schming would place the mop end of the broom on his head and don it as though it were a wig. He would then grind dance to the pole end that dangled from near his head, mouthing the words to Cher hit songs as he danced. What the fuck is this? He then began an odyssey across America in an attempt to evade authorities. It's so stupid too. There's like a government agency that hunts down mutants. It says, the president scrambled every available agency, including FEMA, which hadn't been scrambled since the Teapot Dome scandal of 1922. Here we go. FEMA, mutant recovery. He was apparently attacking people across the country, By late 2000, the US government claimed that Bat Boy was dead and that his body was being cryogenically preserved. His nemesis was a bounty hunter named Jim Deadeye Slubbard, a man who wanted to stuff and mount Bat Boy over his fireplace. Thought we had a better picture, but this is Slubbard. In October, a noted bounty hunter joined the hunt for Bat Boy and made a chilling vow. I'm going to bring that Bat Boy down with one clean shot to the head. He was frequently caught by the FBI, but would always escape. Supposedly, Clance once got a call from the FBI, who told him their phones were ringing off the hook with calls demanding that they free Bat Boy. Bat Boy was said to have questionable morals and sometimes committed crimes. He once stole a car and led police on a high-speed chase across state lines. He also supposedly had a taste for human blood. And then at some point, Bat Boy joins the Marines. Bat Boy can go places and do things no normal soldier can. His hearing is 10,000 times more accurate than an ordinary human's, and he can track smells like a bloodhound. He's able to navigate in total darkness like a bat, using a kind of built-in radar. He can scuttle up a sheer cliff effortlessly and is strong enough to pull a man's arm out of its socket. He's totally at home in mountain caves, where many terrorists like Osama bin Laden hide. The Pentagon spokesman confirmed while he speaks English poorly, he understands it perfectly and should easily master Arabic. Ooh, we got Al-Qaeda breeding killer mosquitoes and bringing them to the US. Oh, I guess Bat Boy probably because he eats mosquitoes or something. Bat Boy befriended celebrities and political figures. The WWN website states that he has also met Travis Scott, Elvis, Nelson Mandela, Frank Sinatra, and every living U.S. president. He met Obama. He has also been romantically linked to Farrah Fawcett, Jennifer Lopez, Cher, Kim Kardashian, and of course, Taylor Swift. Sometimes he would give interviews and share his views on politics and current events. Bat Boy even ran for president. He sought to unite the country under his left and right-wing agenda. While running, he abandoned his pagan ways and converted to Judaism, and then every other known religion. Bat Boy was even knighted by Queen Elizabeth and blessed by Pope Francis. Oh, looks, he goes to the moon, I guess. The fuck is happening in this picture? I don't like it. I don't like that. Oh, he also apparently marries Britney Spears. This shit is so long. They still have things to say about Bat Boy after 145 pages. I mean, this shit gets really... They really milk this Bat Boy thing, huh? There's a few of him wearing a sombrero for no real reason. Is sombrero... He's in Argentina, and he's wearing a sombrero. Is that... Am I being culturally ignorant here? Because I always associate sombreros with Mexico. Or are they being racist? Is it me or is it them? Guess I'll find out. Honestly, the timeline of Bat Boy is so extensive. I can't even... This is too much. This is too much. There are some just weird ass things in here. I'm not even gonna read that one. Yeah, it gets to the point where it's too stupid. I wish they kind of kept it a little bit tied to reality, you know, not reality, but not him like going to space. Seriously though, like this picture scared the shit out of me. It's so stupid. Something about it is still eerie. I don't know, I feel like it's the shininess of the eyes and the eyelashes or something, and then obviously the mouth. Anyway, this thing was crazy. Bat Boy became the most beloved figure in WWN history. He became a sort of mascot for the publication. His legend lives on in pop culture media. There have been references to Bat Boy in The Simpsons, American Dad, Gravity Falls. Travis Scott even used his image for an album in 2021. The most interesting thing to be inspired by Bat Boy is the musical. Bat Boy the Musical was written by Keith Farley and Brian Fleming with music and lyrics by Lawrence O'Keefe. The musical deviates from the WWN story. In the musical, Batboy learns to speak from his adopted family.
Cat, goose, rag, moose, kangaroo, Timbuktu. Understand? Yes, I do.
Yearns for acceptance and tries to join society, only to face hatred and violence from a town that fears him and jealous rage from his foster father. I recently watched a production of the musical on YouTube, and it was actually pretty good. The story is totally different, and the second act gets wild. It includes a half-animal, half-human creature orgy, a woman being violated by bats, and incest. The music is actually good though, and I think they could probably do a revival if they change a few things around. Unfortunately, the Weekly World News couldn't last forever. In 1999, David Pecker, no relation to Hank Pecker, bought American Media, the parent company of WWN. It turned to bleep, says Lind. The guy who took it over didn't understand what it was. He imposed his will upon the paper, leading to many of the original staff leaving the publication. He wanted to hire comedy writers, Yvonne says, but it's not just comedy. It's a different skill set. The new editors added lame advice columns by Lester the typing horse and Sammy the chatting chimp. It's like seeing someone you love wither up and die, says Berger. After that, Batboy only appeared in comic strips. The paper began to tank in sales. WWN ended publication in 2007, and with it, the end of the legend of Batboy. But perhaps not all is lost. On July 31st, 2024, it was reported by Deadline that Netflix was developing a live-action Batboy series. Please pray for Batboy TV show. Batboy came from an era when fake news meant something totally different. For now, let us remember a brave bat child who overcame adversity and touched the hearts of millions all around the world. Batboy will live forever in our memories. When did I start recording? You see this, motherfuckers. We wrote it as straight in an AP story. To check out the bro. I fucking suck. Reporters frequently included quotes. Fucking hell. Gotta include those quotes. If we get a guy, Batboy befriended. Why is that hard to say? Batboy befriended. Fuck. Batboy befriended. After that, Batboy only appeared in comic strips. Comic. Then bam. And bam,